Symptoms of a bad transmission filter. The clogged, dirty, or failing signs you should never ignore. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now let me ask you this. Has your car ever hesitated when shifting gears? Or maybe you've heard a strange whining noise under the hood and instantly thought, oh no, my transmission is shot. That fear hits every driver because we all know a bad transmission means big money. But here's the truth. A lot of those scary symptoms aren't always the transmission itself. They can actually come from one small, overlooked part, the transmission filter. And when that filter gets clogged, dirty, or starts to fail, the signs can look almost identical to a transmission that's about to give up. The difference is, one costs a fortune to fix, and the other might only take a simple service. Now, here's why this is very important. I've seen countless people spend thousands of dollars replacing or rebuilding their transmission when the real problem was just a clogged transmission filter. That's like replacing the entire fridge when the power cord was simply unplugged. By the time we're done here, you'll know how to spot the symptoms of a bad transmission filter, how to tell if yours is clogged, how long you can safely drive like that, and most importantly, how to fix it before it ruins your transmission. So let's start with the basics. What does the transmission filter even do? Your transmission filter works a lot like your oil filter in the engine. Its only job is to catch debris, tiny metal shavings, clutch material, dirt, and keep it out of the transmission fluid lines. That way, the transmission fluid that flows through the system stays clean and under the right pressure. But when that filter gets blocked, it's like trying to breathe through a straw that's jammed with mud. The transmission is gasping for fluid, and every symptom you're about to see comes from that starvation. All right, let's get into the actual transmission filter symptoms you need to look out for. First up, hard or delayed shifting. Have you ever stepped on the gas, the engine revs, but the car takes a second before it actually shifts into gear? That hesitation is a dead giveaway. It happens because the clogged filter is choking fluid flow. Think of it like your heart trying to pump blood through blocked arteries. The pressure drops, and everything struggles. That hesitation, that delay, is one of the classic signs of a bad transmission filter. Now, let's talk about slipping gears. You're cruising along, you give it some throttle, and suddenly the engine revs higher, but the car doesn't accelerate like it should. That's called slipping. And yes, if you're wondering, can a clogged transmission filter cause slipping? Absolutely. It's one of the most common outcomes. Without enough pressure in the system, the gears literally can't hold properly. So the engine revs up, but the transmission can't lock onto the gear. It's not just annoying, it's dangerous. Imagine pulling into traffic and your car slips instead of moving. That's a safety risk right there. Another thing drivers notice is strange noises. This one gets a lot of people worried, and for good reason. Folks often ask me, what does a clogged transmission filter sound like? And the answer is usually a whining, buzzing, or even a faint rattling sound. That's your transmission pump straining to pull fluid through a blocked filter. It's like sucking a milkshake through a coffee straw. You hear the pump struggling, whining, because it can't get enough fluid. Now here's the one that scares people the most. Sometimes a clogged transmission filter causes no drive at all. That's right, you put the car into gear, hit the gas, and nothing happens. People immediately think their transmission is shot. But in a lot of cases, the filter is so restricted that the transmission simply cannot move the car. So if you've ever wondered, can a clogged transmission filter cause no drive? Yes, it can, and it happens more often than you'd think. Let's not forget about burnt or dirty fluid. When the filter is blocked, contaminants just stay in the system. You pull the dipstick and see fluid that's dark brown or even smells burnt. That right there is one of the clearest dirty transmission filter symptoms. And once fluid smells burnt, it means heat and debris have been damaging the transmission's internal parts. Ignore it long enough, and you're walking straight into a full rebuild. And if you've ever dealt with overheating, that can be another direct result. A transmission filter clogged means restricted fluid flow, which means poor lubrication and poor cooling. And a hot transmission is a dying transmission. Overheating accelerates wear so fast it's shocking. I've seen cars where one overheating event basically cooked the transmission beyond repair. So now that you know the signs of a bad transmission filter, the next logical question is, what causes it to get clogged in the first place? Well, some of it is just normal wear and tear. Every transmission sheds tiny metal particles and clutch material over time. That's normal. But here's where problems really set in. Skipped maintenance. If the fluid isn't changed regularly, those particles build up until the filter can't handle it anymore. Towing heavy loads, constant stop-and-go traffic, or using the wrong type of fluid can speed it up too. That's exactly what causes a clogged transmission filter. Now here's the question everybody asks once they suspect a problem. How long can you drive with a clogged transmission filter? The truth? Not long. Sure, the car might still move for a little while, but every mile you put on it is basically grinding the transmission down. It's like running your engine with no oil filter. Technically, it'll work, but it's a ticking time bomb. Ignore it long enough, and instead of a $150, $200 filter and fluid service, you're looking at a $3,000, $5,000 transmission rebuild. So if you're even asking how long you can drive like this, the safest answer is simple. Don't. Now, the good part is the fix isn't rocket science. If you want to know how to fix a clogged transmission filter, the process is pretty straightforward. Step 1. Drop the transmission pan. Step 2. Replace the old filter with a brand new one. Step 3. Clean out the pan and the magnets, because those magnets are designed to catch shavings. And Step 4. Refill with the correct type and amount of transmission fluid. In some cars, it's a relatively easy DIY job with basic tools. In others, it can be trickier because some modern transmissions require a scan tool to set the fluid level correctly. But either way, the fix is simple compared to replacing the whole transmission. And let me give you a little insider tip. Sometimes the symptoms don't show up all the time. You might notice it slips only when the transmission is hot, or only after a long drive on the highway. That's often when drivers think it's an electrical problem or a bad sensor. But the reality is those transmission filter change symptoms can come and go, depending on how much fluid is trying to flow at that moment. Don't get fooled. Always check the filter first before assuming the worst. Here's the reality. Catching the symptoms of a clogged transmission filter early can be the difference between a quick Saturday afternoon fix and a financial nightmare. The sooner you act, the better your chances of saving the transmission. So let me wrap this up with one clear takeaway. If you notice hard shifting, slipping gears, whining noises, or burnt fluid, don't panic and assume the transmission is toast. More often than not, those are just classic transmission filter symptoms. And changing that filter can restore smooth operation, prevent bigger damage, and give your transmission a second life. So next time you're asking yourself, can a clogged transmission filter cause shifting problems? Or, why does my transmission slip when it's hot? Remember this video, because you're now armed with the knowledge to check and diagnose correctly the simple things first and save yourself thousands. If this helped you, stick around, because in the next video here, I will show how to change or replace your transmission filter yourself in a matter of minutes, and I will also link it below.